Nearly 5 years after Chongyun's debut and Genshin's launch in 2020, it's truly incredible that he's finding a niche in the meta again with the release of escoffier. Chongyun was my very first main. Back when I barely understood the game's mechanics, he carried my ragtag adventuring crew through Mondstadt and Liyue with a simple, satisfying kit. But once I began to better understand elemental reactions and team building, my reliance on him began to dwindle. I pulled for newer 5-stars, and with shiny new teams like Raiden Hypercarry, Hyperbloom, and Furina, Chongyun got left behind. However, my love for Chongyun has always remained, and I made a promise that I would be back to build him when the time was right. Now, with the comeback of Freeze and the Cryo Nation on the horizon, the time has finally come. In this video, I will be building Chongyun to be a Freeze DPS alongside escoffier and Furina. Now that escoffier is reviving Freeze comps, I'm actually super excited to see what Chongyun can do. First, I'm going to show you what my Chongyun looks like right now prior to completing this build. He is level 80 and has pretty okay stats because I recently leveled him up from like 50 to 80 and put some generic artifacts on him. So we're not going to be building him from scratch, but rather optimizing him to maximize what he can do with my available resources. I will be giving him my second copy of Verdict because I think it just looks so good on him. If it wasn't Navia's signature weapon, it honestly might be Chongyun's. I know that technically Thousand Blazing Suns or Wolf's Gravestone are better for his damage, but from a style perspective, I just can't. Right now he's on some 2-piece artifacts. I'll talk more in detail about my choices in the artifact section of this video. Unfortunately, he is only at C5, which is a bummer because his C6 does add some extra damage. Hopefully, I'll be able to pull a copy of him soon. His talents are 1, 6, 9, so I will be leveling those up a bit. Here are his stats as of now. Let's get to building him. I'll start by ascending the weapon. I need to farm the ancient cord materials. I'm just using this team for friendship points, so ignore the weird team comp. I recently got Verdict when I lost my 50-50 trying to get escoffier's weapon. I mentioned it in my escoffier video, but basically I said that I didn't mind getting a second copy of Verdict that much because I knew I would immediately give it to Chongyun and have more of a reason to build him again. It's kind of paining me to level 90 this weapon when I just level 90'd escoffier's weapon last week, and I'm gonna be level 90ing Skirk's weapon next too, so I'll need to be a little more frugal with my resources in the next few months. Chongyun needs the cryo-regifying boss drops and core lapis for his ascension, so let's get to collecting those. Yanfei is on my team since she shows the specialty icons on the map.
Unexpected, but welcome.
Let's fly!
Liyue might be one of my least favorite regions to farm for regional specialties because of the super tall mountains. It's so hard to tell where the items are in terms of like the altitude, and I feel like I keep having to glide around only to end up being led to this like singular violet grass on the side of the mountain. It's probably a bit more efficient to follow a farming route video guide or something rather than doing this collection mode in the game, especially for this particular specialty, but I'm kind of lazy to pull up a video on the side.
Worth the trouble.
Now that I've collected all the materials, let's level him up to 90. So after almost 2 years of Chongyun being on my account, he's actually finally level 90. So now for Chongyun's artifacts. This may not be the smartest move, but I decided to go with Marishosei Hunter for now for 2 main reasons. 1, I'll always be using Chongyun with Furina, so he'll easily get that crit rate bonus from the passive. And 2, I have a lot of these artifacts in my inventory already, so that would save me some resin and time. But the main problem with using Marishosei is that my Chongyun is pretty likely to overcap on crit rate. I decided that I would just risk the slight overcap and try to focus my substats on other stats like crit damage, ER, EM, and attack. I don't think I need that much attack though, since escoffier gives a lot of attack bonus with her signature weapon, so I am hoping to maximize on ER. I'm choosing to add some EM for the shatter reaction, which activates when you use a heavy attack on a frozen enemy, and it scales off of EM. Shatter is obviously not the best reaction out there, but it doesn't hurt to add a little bit of extra damage while I dish out Chongyun's normal attacks. And here is the final build. Chongyun is level 90 with a level 90 verdict. I was able to get some good rolls on my Marishosei artifact set. He's still C5 and his talents are now upgraded to 6, 8, 10. Here are his stats. With this build, I believe his crit rate is about 102%, accounting for all of his stacks, so the overcap is not too bad. I wish I was able to get a little bit more crit damage on him, but I'll work on that another time. Now let's get him into combat and see what he's able to accomplish in the Spiral Abyss. The team I'm going to show you is Chongyun, Furina, escoffier, and Sitlali. So after testing Chongyun in the Abyss a few times, here is what I've gathered. Chongyun honestly isn't doing as much personal damage as I was hoping, even with escoffier's Res Shred. Rather, he kind of became an unexpected support and driver for Furina and escoffier's off-field damage. His C2 allows his skill to reduce cooldowns of your party's skills and bursts by 15%. So I noticed that my rotations in this team were extremely fast, making it a fun quick swap team where I'm just constantly spamming abilities. And a few notes about my team here. My Furina is C6, but I swapped out her HP sands for an ER sand, and she's using an R5 Fleuve Songe. I found that I had some ER issues with her as solo Hydro, and also because the rotations were way too fast. But I didn't want to sacrifice too much of her skill damage by using the Favonius sword. And unfortunately, I don't have Shenhe, but Sitlali with the Scroll of the Cinder City artifact set, as well as the elemental damage bonus from her signature weapon, seems to be an okay alternative. The biggest downside to using Sitlali in this team though is that I'm unable to use her in a melt team on the other side, so it does feel like a bit of a waste to have her here. I also tested this team using Yelan instead of Sitlali, and although the potential is there, I just felt like I wasn't doing enough normal attacks to maximize Yelan's burst because the rotations were just too quick. Since I had initially wanted to play Chongyun as a freeze DPS, I was a little disappointed that he was instead basically just taking up field time while Furina and escoffier did the bulk of the damage. Not to say that his damage is insignificant, but his damage per rotation wasn't too much compared to more modern DPS characters like Mavuika, Baressa, and perhaps the soon-to-come Skirk. But on the other hand, Chongyun's C2 cooldown reduction still offered something new and unique to the table to have this team feel completely different from other typical Furina-based teams. The quick swap rotations were surprisingly really fun, especially if you just like mashing buttons. Chongyun is just really fun and satisfying to play regardless, so I'm very satisfied with this build, and I'm super happy that I was finally able to give Chongyun the premium build and premium team that he deserves. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and leaving a comment about your thoughts on the current state of Cryo or what other characters you're hoping will be upgraded in the coming versions of Genshin. Thank you for watching and see you next time.